From a young age, we're taught that to make money, you've got to fight, hustle, compete, and come out on top. The world paints wealth as this rare prize, handed out only to a lucky few or those born with a silver spoon. But what if that's all just a carefully fed illusion? Wallace D. Wattles didn't mince words. The chance to get rich is within everyone's reach. But what he laid out goes way deeper than that. The real secret isn't about tricks, schemes, or grinding yourself to the bone. It's about how you think. The truth is, the secret was never hidden. It's been right there in front of us, in books, in the lives of history's greats, in the very fabric of reality. So why do so few see it? Because it seems too simple to take seriously. It doesn't sparkle like a magic bullet or scream like a slick ad. It just works quietly for those who dare to apply it with discipline. The world's wired us to chase what can only be sparked from within. Wattles wasn't just talking about making bank. He was talking about syncing your mind, actions, and intentions with a creative force that responds to focused thought. He called it acting in a certain way, a way of living that flips the script on everything we've been taught about blind hustle and cutthroat competition. Maybe that's why the truly wealthy, those who built their fortunes with clarity, rarely spill the beans on how they did it. They just quietly follow principles most people brush off. Because once you get this science, you realize poverty is often just a lack of clear vision. Picture an invisible substance everywhere in the universe that responds directly to your thoughts. Wattles called it the thinking stuff. Sounds like sci-fi, right? But it's an old idea, echoed in spiritual traditions and even backed by some corners of quantum physics. Thought shapes matter. The truly rich, those who've cracked the code, don't move with panic, desperation, or stress. They know it all starts in the mind. Every big fortune was built in the invisible first, in imagination, in unshakable belief, in clear, relentless visualization of a goal. This kind of thinking isn't loose, vague, or riddled with doubt. It's creative, focused, and persistent. A creative mind doesn't mimic what others do. It builds something new and pulls the right opportunities to it. That's why most people stay stuck in a competitive mindset, thinking they've got to take from someone else to get ahead. But those who thrive, they're playing a different game. They don't react to the world. They create the world they want to live in, starting from the inside. They get that every clear mental image, held with faith and backed by aligned action, shows up in time. That's the invisible law so few stick with. Thinking creatively, Wattles said, is like planting the seed of wealth in the fertile soil of the universal mind. And that soil only responds to those who know what they want, see it clearly, and act with purpose. Plenty will hear this and keep waiting for a fancier formula, but those who get it, they'll rewrite their reality. Because a mind that creates doesn't bank on luck, it makes its own. Most folks spend their lives believing wealth is a zero-sum game. If someone wins, someone else has to lose. That idea, drilled deep into our social and school systems, is one of the biggest traps keeping millions stuck in scarcity. Wattles was crystal clear. Competitive thinking blocks your growth. It comes from a narrow view of the universe, that resources are limited, success is a race, and you've got to knock someone down to climb up. That mindset breeds fear, envy, constant comparison, and anxiety. All the stuff that pushes real creation away. A rich, creative mind doesn't compete. It carves its own path. It sees an endless well of ideas, possibilities, and resources, and the more tuned in you are to that source, the easier it is to thrive. You don't fight life, you flow with it. Competing is running in circles. Creating is blazing a trail. Those who compete burn energy on small battles while missing the real war, conquering their own patterns and limiting beliefs. While you're busy trying to beat the other guy, you're distracted from your power to create something unique. And here's the kicker. Competitive thinking fuels scarcity, and scarcity's like a magnet. It pulls in more of what's already in your head. You start seeing fewer opportunities, fewer possibilities, less support. You feel boxed in, stuck. Exactly the opposite of a rich mind which always sees fresh starts. If you want to change your life, stop thinking like you're fighting for scraps. Start acting like you're creating abundance for yourself and others. Picture an invisible bridge between what you think and what you live. That bridge is faith. Not religious or dogmatic faith, but an inner force, a rock-solid certainty that what you want is already real, even if the world says otherwise. For Wattles, this faith is a living principle. It's not enough to want something. You've got to know it's yours. A creative mind only works with conviction. Even a hint of doubt can unravel the process. And here's the tricky part. Most people can't hold on to that certainty when results are slow or seem to slip away. But those who grasp the science know time's just a layer of experience, not a wall. What you want is already alive in the curious, invisible field of the thinking stuff. Your job isn't to chase, beg, or stress. It's to act like it's inevitable. Faith isn't sitting back and waiting. It's moving with courage, ease, and focus, like the outcome's already locked in. When you've got real faith, your steps don't waver, your words don't leak fear, your energy doesn't crash at the first sign of delay. And that's when the invisible starts turning visible. So why is it so hard to keep that faith? Because we're bombarded with noise that screams the opposite. Bad news, people ranting about crises, stats about failure, doubts dressed up as being realistic. Staying true to your inner vision is almost an act of spiritual rebellion. It takes mental armor. It demands you be bigger than what the world tries to sell as truth. Faith, Wattles said, is what separates creators from copycats. While most wait for external signs to move, those who master this science are already in motion, even in the dark. They don't wait for the door to open. They're already walking through it, even if it looks locked to everyone else. Here's the detail most miss. The universe doesn't respond to words, but to the vibe of your conviction. When you think with faith, act with faith, and hold your mental image without flinching, you become a magnet for what you want. You stop chasing and start attracting. Unshakable faith is the quiet roar inside you. I already am what I choose to be. And that vibe, when steady, is stronger than any tactic, hustle, or plan. Most people see gratitude as a reaction, a thanks, after getting something. But for Wattles, that's just scratching the surface. Real gratitude is proactive, quiet, constant. More than a moral value or spiritual practice, it's a practical tool for creation, a hidden lever that shapes what you pull into your life. Gratitude, according to Wattles, is the language the thinking stuff recognizes as permission. When you live in a state of constant gratitude, you send out a signal that you already have what you want, even if it's not yet visible in the physical world. And that magnetic signal syncs your mind with the creative source. It's not just about giving thanks for what you've got, but also for what's on its way, as if it's already yours. This kind of gratitude takes vision, takes faith, because it kicks in before the results show up. And that's why it works. It screams certainty. Truly rich people live this principle quietly. They don't waste energy griping about what's missing or what they haven't nailed yet. They train their minds to give thanks, even for the struggles, knowing everything's working together to fuel their growth and bring their mental vision to life. That steady state of gratitude keeps them dialed into the frequency of creation. Complaining blocks you. Gratitude sets you free. Complaining is like shouting scarcity to the universe, doubling down that something's lacking. Gratitude, on the flip side, declares presence, even when it's invisible to the naked eye. And that declaration acts like a magnetic field. Wattles goes deeper. Without gratitude, your mind can't stay plugged into the source of wealth. Gratitude is the thread tying thought to outcome. It's the quiet fuel keeping your vibe high, even when nothing seems to be happening. Want to shift your reality? Start giving thanks, and not on autopilot. Make gratitude your default mindset. Before bed, when you wake up, throughout the day, doesn't matter what your eyes see. What matters is what your mind chooses to hold on to. Because in the end, the world doesn't decide what you get. Your inner state does. And gratitude might just be the most powerful state of all. One of the biggest myths about building wealth is that the harder you grind, the closer you get to success. But Wallace D. Wattles shuts that down. It's not about how much you do, it's about the quality of how you do it. He calls it efficient action. Efficient action isn't burning yourself out or staying busy just to feel productive. It's acting with focus, presence, and a clear line to your mental goal. It's the opposite of aimless hustle. It's intentional. Movement, not emotional chaos. Most people run on autopilot. They check off tasks out of duty with no real intention or clarity. That kind of action is weak, scattered. The more you move like that, the more you lock yourself into a cycle of exhaustion with no payoff. The rich who follow Wattles' science do it differently. They pour intention into every step. Even the smallest action carries the weight of a bigger purpose. That's why efficient action isn't about clocking hours, it's about vibe. You can get more done in 1 hour of focused, conscious effort than in a week of impulsive grinding. What makes it efficient isn't the action itself, but the inner state you bring to it. This is what shortcut chasers miss. Efficient action comes from a mind in sync. If your head's full of doubt, rush, or anxiety, your actions are tainted. But when your mind's aligned, your actions turn magnetic. And that's when results start rolling in. Wattles lays it out. Act every day with as much skill as you can, given the circumstances you've got. You don't need perfect conditions. What you have right now is enough to take the next step. And that step, when taken with awareness, connects you to the next one. Efficient action is like a well-aimed stone. It hits the mark. While others waste energy digging a dozen shallow holes, those who get this science dig deep in one spot and strike gold. In the end, efficiency isn't about what you do. It's about the energy you bring to it. And that changes everything. Most people drift through life without a core. They want to get rich, be free, live better. But those ideas are vague, flimsy, directionless. Wallace D. Wattles teaches that without a defined purpose, your creative thought scatters, and creation falls apart before it even takes shape. Purpose isn't just a wish. It's a rock-solid, crystal-clear, unshakable decision. It's a mental image you hold with such conviction, it feels more real than the doubts around you. The rich who live by this science aren't just trying something. They know exactly what they're building, even when no one else gets it. A defined purpose is your inner compass. It keeps you from getting sidetracked by quick-fix promises, derailed by criticism, or thrown off by the slightest hiccup. It brings clarity when the world tries to cloud your vision. While most people bounce from one idea to the next, true creators stay locked on one path until they arrive. Wattles' advice: everything you do should line up with your purpose. Thoughts, actions, decisions. Purpose is your filter. If it doesn't serve your goal, it doesn't deserve your energy. The more you align with it, the more magnetic your mind becomes, the more the universe responds, the more doors swing open. But purpose takes guts. Defining it means committing to a journey. It means saying no to distractions. It means standing firm even when no one else believes. It means holding the vision even when everything looks the opposite. The rich with trained minds don't negotiate with their goals. They adapt, sure, but they don't back down. And that's why they thrive. They're moving with laser focus while others are still chasing opportunities. Want to tap into the science of wealth for real? Start by nailing down exactly what you want. Write it, visualize it, declare it. Make it the center of your daily focus. Because without purpose, even faith gets lost. But with purpose, everything starts to click. Ever notice how some people seem to pull money in like it's no big deal, while others grind their whole lives and barely get anywhere? The difference is rarely in the hustle, it's in the mental frequency. For Wallace D. Wattles, true wealth starts as an inner state. Not something you have, but something you are. Money's a mirror. It reflects your thought patterns, your emotional relationship with abundance, the identity you've quietly built. If someone sees themselves as broke, thinks broke, acts broke, they might make some cash, but it won't stick. Because reality always matches what the mind holds on to. Wattles says you've got to train your mind to see abundance as natural, inevitable, already here. That means breaking the old scarcity loop. Stop pinching pennies. Stop fixating on limits. Stop saying stuff like, can't afford it, times are tough, or it's impossible for me. The rich who get this science don't treat money as the goal. It's the byproduct of their state of being. They don't wait to get rich to think rich. They're already living in that mindset before the bank account catches up. And that's why it does. A rich consciousness is calm, steady, strategic. It doesn't vibe with desperation, rush, or lack. It hums with choice, clarity, presence. And in that state, you start spotting opportunities Where you used to see dead ends, you move smarter. You start acting like you already are. Poverty isn't just an external condition, it's often a deep-seated, inherited pattern. It comes from culture, family, the media, and it can only be broken when you rebuild how you think, how you speak, how you feel. Real change is invisible before it becomes visible. That's why it's not enough to study wealth. You've got to embody the mindset of wealth, and that mindset starts with small moves. How you treat your time, how you see yourself facing challenges, how you choose to act even without guarantees. Your consciousness shapes your reality. If you don't shift on the inside, the world outside stays the same. But when you change your vibe, your focus, your identity, the universe responds. It always responds to your core essence, not your surface-level wishes. Few realize this, but the true masters of creation, those who've nailed the invisible science of wealth, follow an almost unbreakable inner ritual. A quiet pattern, no flash, no show. They don't brag, don't flex, don't chase validation. They just practice in secret what transforms them from within. Drawing from Wallace Wattles' teachings, there's an exercise that can, in 90 days, completely shift your mental, emotional, and vibrational state toward wealth. What makes it so powerful isn't complexity, it's the opposite. It's simple, straightforward, disciplined. And that's why most people underestimate it. For 90 days, you'll hold up 4 mental and practical pillars. Daily creative visualization. Spend 10 to 15 minutes each day picturing, with vivid detail and emotion, the life you want to live. This isn't daydreaming for kicks. It's seeing, feeling, believing it's already real. Doesn't matter where you are now. This is about where your mind's locked in. Anticipatory gratitude. Every morning, write down 5 things you're grateful for, including what you don't yet have, but claim as yours. Like, I'm deeply thankful for my financial freedom, even if it's not here yet. Gratitude doesn't wait for proof. Gratitude is the proof. Conscious, efficient action. Every day, take at least one intentional step toward your purpose. Size doesn't matter. What matters is doing it with clarity, focus, and clean energy. It's about quality, not piling on. Strategic silence. Keep your plans on the low, don't explain, don't justify, don't broadcast. This process needs shielding from outside doubt. Spilling too soon is a top cause of self-sabotage. Guard your energy. Over these 90 days, you'll notice subtle shifts, first in your inner state, then in your habits, the opportunities that pop up, the people who drift away or draw closer. You'll be reconnecting with the creative substance. But here's the key: don't break the cycle. Even if it feels like nothing's moving, even if results don't show up right away. This method isn't for dabblers. It's for those ready to walk through the invisible with discipline. Anyone who completes these 90 days in silence with faith, action, and gratitude will have created something bigger than wealth, a new identity. If it's all so simple, why haven't most people heard of this? Why isn't it taught in schools or hyped up in the media? Why do so many chase wealth down dead-end roads while the real science of creation hides in plain sight? The answer's blunt: it works. And what really works is scary. Because a mind that wakes up stops depending, stops following orders, stops buying illusions. Someone who figures out they can create wealth with clarity, focus, and discipline becomes free. And free people aren't easily controlled. The system wants you to believe getting rich is for the chosen few, that it takes luck, connections, sacrifice, competition. It wants you to give up early, settle for less, live in fear. Because if you realize you can change your reality just by shifting your mindset and actions, the world loses its grip on you. That's why these teachings get mocked, watered down, or ignored. Because the science of wealth doesn't rely on magic formulas, it relies on you taking charge of your focus, your energy, your purpose. Wallace Wattles didn't hide a secret. He left a playbook. Simple, direct, but it demands practice, persistence, and faith. That's the real challenge, acting on what most people just read, but now you know. You've peeked behind the curtain. The question is, Will you slip back into autopilot or start your 90 days in silence? If this opened your eyes, there are more videos on the channel to dive deeper into your transformation. Click one of the ones popping up on your screen now and keep rolling with us. The truth isn't hidden. It's just waiting for you to be ready.